from Darul Qur'an Senior High School. This time, I would like to speak about the miracle of man's creation. Let's now take a brief trip in time and go back to the past. Let's study an extraordinary story, one full of miracles. Let's see what human being once was. And now, I'll talk about the embryo. Ladies and gentlemen, after the process of the powerful race of the sperms, an egg cell which has not yet joined with the sperm are side by side. But one of the greatest miracles in the world is about to happen. Two sets of genetic information are about to mix with one another to form an entirely new human being. An union has happened. This first cell is called a zygote. It may be hard to believe, but inside this cell is all the information regarding a person as yet unborn. The unborn baby's eyes, complexion and hair color, the shape of his face, and all his other physical features are encoded here. And it's not just his appearance, but also his skeleton, internal organs, skin, veins, and even the shape and number of the blood cells circulating in those veins, and all the other details of his body that are determined here. Everything is determined and written in this cell, from a person's features at age 7 to his features at age 70. Shortly after fertilization, the cell will perform another very surprising action. It divides, and two new cells form. Then the cells divide again and become 4 cells. The construction of a new human being has now begun. But why does the cell decide to divide? Why does it have the task of building a new human being? Who gave the cell the knowledge to build a new person? These questions lead us to existence of God, possessor of infinite intelligence and power, who created us, the world, the human being in that world, the cell in that human being, and the entire universe around him. As the cell cluster divides and multiplies, another astonishing thing happens. Some cells start to grow different to others. The old cells gather in the center, and these are surrounded with the new cells, which are growing into a different kind of cells. A short time later, the group of cells in the center will form the embryo, in other words, the first cells of the baby to be born, and group of cells around them will form the placenta, which will nourish the embryo. Ladies and gentlemen, about 4 days after fertilization, the dividing cells reach an area specially prepared for them, that is to say, the mother's womb. In order not to be expelled from the body, they have to sling on the womb. However, the newly forming embryo is a round cluster of similar cells. It has no special hook or extension to enable it to sling on anywhere. So, how does it stick to the wall of the womb? This too has been taken into account. When the cells reach the wall of the mother's womb, a special system goes into operation. A cell cluster which have just reached the mother's womb, the very outside give off a special enzyme which dissolves the womb wall. In this way, the cells sling tightly to the womb and avoid being expelled from the baby. The cell cluster is buried in the wall of the womb. This new living creature which sticks to the womb and begins to grow is now known as an embryo. That's all from me. Thank you for attention.